whether actually high schools will also reopen, but for the primary schools, NAT has suspended its strike notice that was due by last midnight. And so KUPPET is still adamant that the strike is on. This has since created a confusion of whether parents should release their children to school or not. But remember, for the primary, it's clear that NAT has withdrawn their strike notice, while KUPPET is still adamant that beginning today, teachers will commence their nationwide strike. This even as their fears of the mpox, which is a threat as learners are planning to troop back in schools, even as parents are juggling between paying school fees and also other bills. Still in matters of education, President William Ruto yesterday had a town hall meeting where he explained to the university students on the new funding model, which he says, by the way, that it dates back to the year 1995. According to President William Ruto, he says that he even went to the university in the year 1987 as a fresher, that's a first-year student, and HELB loan was 55,000, which he paid his loan facility with the interest. That is a total of 69,000. But after he got his first salary job as an MP, remember the year there, according to President William Ruto, is the year 1987. Now, mark this. The history of HELB, the Higher Education Loans Board, that is, it was established in the year 1995 by an act of parliament, that is the Higher Education Loans Board Act. And it was domiciled and operates within the Republic of Kenya. But President William Ruto said in the year 1987. So here we have Ruto saying the year 1987 he used HELB, while HELB was established in the year 1995. That, of course, leaves so many people with questions on even what comes from the president's mouth, if it's to be trusted. But the students had an opportunity to ask questions on how this particular model will work, which many term it as a discriminatory one, factoring in that it will leave many students from not so well established backgrounds out. And Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who now considers himself as the opposition leader, has threatened to call for nationwide demonstrations against the new funding model. And now, also, the National Assembly Speaker, that is Moses Wetangula, wants a new law to be established that will, bring under one fund bursaries and scholarships. That includes, of course, the NGCDF. MPs are already up in arms protesting that they will not allow that particular fund to be collapsed. This is just to enable, of course, students be able to be funded adequately from one kitty. That is also the position of the Chief Justice, Martha Koome. Now, this morning, also on the State of the Nation, we will focus on the bloated executive with advisors, where just the other day, President William Ruto reappointed two former cabinet secretaries, that is Eliud Owalo to be the Deputy Chief of Staff and Moses Kuria to be the Economic Advisor. However, there are even overlapping roles within the executive, which is now creating confusion on how to undertake the roles. Eliud Owalo, for instance, PCS, that is the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and Public Service CS Moses, that is Muturi, all are actually tasked with the same role of overseeing performance of ministries. We'll be focusing on that. It's actually more of a betrayal to the promises that were given to the Gen Zs on concessions. Remember, The president promised to slash the number of advisors. That has since not happened. Instead, 2 more are on board in the executive, and so we'll also be having training our focus on that particular story. Tomorrow, President William Ruto will be unveiling or launching officially the campaign for Raila Odinga in his bid to become the AUC chair, that is the African Union Commission chair. The costs for that particular campaign are estimated to be more than 5 billion Kenya shillings, which is a figure 10 times more than what Amina Mohammed used several years ago while seeking the same position. 5 billion is what it will cost you as the taxpayer to actually fund the campaign. And so we'll be taking a look or highlighting whether and what will be the return of benefits now that we are going to invest that amount. This even as billions of shillings are missing in the Hustler Fund. Imagine, out of 21 million Kenyans that borrowed on that platform, only 2 million have since repaid or have been consistent with borrowing and repaying, while 19 million are yet to repay. And so CS Oparanya says he will go after those that have not made the repayments. Remember, Wycliffe Oparanya who was the former Kakamega governor, at some point had urged Kenyans to not pay the Hustler Fund. And now he has a major task of ensuring that the 19 million defaulters repay the Hustler Fund. On the other side, National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi says the government has allocated funds to employ junior secondary schools. Speaking to one of the local media houses several days ago, John Mbadi has stated that there is no money to hire for 6,000 JSS intern teachers or to confirm them as permanent and pensionable or on permanent and pensionable terms. But now, again, it's a U-turn. He says beginning January 2025, which actually is a good news, they will be hired on the permanent and pensionable terms. And so, clearly, there is contradiction in his own words as the Treasury Cabinet Secretary. In studio, I'll be joined by a very key guest, that is Honorable Veronica Maina, nominated Senator, Honorable Beatrice Elachi, Dagoretti North Member of Parliament, and as well Rachel Omolo, who is a governance expert. But before that, we just highlight what is on our dailies this morning, even as we work to bring you, of course, a recap of what transpired yesterday as far as the town hall meeting that was led by President William Ruto on the new university education funding model. Let's begin with our own publication here at Media Max, that is the People Daily. Splashes of Ruto's grand plan for Raila. Diplomacy. President activates Africa networks, set up secretariat, and assembles Dream Team campaign as he officially launches Kenya's candidates. That is Kenyan candidates bid for the AU job. That is on page 4 of the People Daily, just to peruse it. Ruto to launch Raila's quest for top AU position. Some 48 countries are eligible to vote, and Kenya needs 32 of these to win, with 25 confirming support. The government is pulling all the stops to ensure its candidate for the top African Union Commission job. Opposition leader Raila Odinga clinches the top. According to Dr. Barack Muluka, who was here the other day, he said that we no longer need to refer to Raila Odinga as the opposition leader, but instead the AU candidate for, of course, our country. And so the opposition leader role, it's believed, or Kalonzo Musyoka claims it now, and as well, Honorable Dr. Babu Wina Mbakasi is Member of Parliament. Now, yesterday, the government unveiled a grand strategy that kicks off tomorrow, that is on Tuesday, when President William Ruto formally launches Raila's campaign at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, that is KICC. Yesterday, the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi expressed confidence that Raila's quest for the chairmanship of the AUC are firmly on course. Mudavadi said after tomorrow's official launch of Raila's candidacy, an event to be overseen by President William Ruto, it will be all systems go, and nothing will be left to chance to ensure Kenya clinches the seat. Mudavadi, who is also the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, and that is the Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, noted that the campaigns will be led by highly experienced and knowledgeable individuals to ensure a well-coordinated, targeted, and result-oriented effort. Insiders yesterday revealed that the government is racing against time to put Raila's house in order ahead of the elections to be held in Addis Ababa, that is in Ethiopia, in February next year. But remember, the campaigns begin early. To start, the government has merged Raila's secretariat with its team of experts, launched his campaign website, and he actually will soon unveil the campaign materials, including posters, flyers, and branded clothes. The government will also be relaying details of, or rather about how many countries support Raila's bid and those that are likely to be convinced to do so in the coming days. So far, the figures indicate that out of 55 African countries, 48 are eligible to vote, and of those, Kenya needs 66%. That is 32 countries. Already, we have 25 countries that are backing Odinga's bid to become the AU Commission chair. Speaking yesterday, Mudavadi said after Kenya successfully handed in Raila's papers and credentials, beating the 6th August deadline, structured planning has been going on ahead of the official launch. In previous remarks, Mudavadi reiterated that Raila represents the nation's voice, values, and aspirations for the continent. Now, in consolidating the support, he has urged Kenyans to stand, that is Musalia Mudavadi, has urged Kenyans to stand with Raila's candidacy, not just as a government, but as a united people. Mudavadi spoke on the sidelines of the ongoing Tokyo International Conference on African Development, that is TICAD 9, ministerial meeting that closed on Sunday. Well, in Tokyo, Mudavadi seized the opportunity to rally several foreign affairs ministers from the African Union member states attending the conference to support Kenya's bid. Remember, that is part of the strategy, of course, that is applied while seeking such a high-level African seat. Among others, Mudavadi met foreign affairs ministers from Senegal, Liberia, Mauritius, and Egypt, and presented Kenya's case, that is, of course, campaigning for Raila Odinga. He noted that the focus will be on gaining more support and not ceding ground at any given point. Once again, just to reiterate the numbers, that so far, out of the 55 African countries, 48 who are eligible to vote Kenya has confirmed to, being backed by 25 countries. And now my guest is already in studio, that is Rachel Omolo. Good morning. I trust you're well. Thank you so much for getting time. We're focusing on Odinga's bid, to become the AU Commission chair. And now, out of the 48 countries that are eligible to vote, in Africa we have a total of 55. 25 have confirmed. Do you believe the numbers? And we need 32. So we are going, after we launch perhaps our campaign tomorrow, we'll bank the 7 that we need, the additional 7.
Thank you, Chacha. I think that's a very good start for Baba, given that we already have almost majority. If you look at those who are eligible to vote, which is 48, and we have 25, that's more than half by one. So I think looking for the 7 to convince them, given Baba's history in Pan-Africanism and eligibility generally, then he stands a higher chance. So far so good, and we are wishing Baba the very best. So I'm happy that even before his official launch, he already has 25 countries supporting his bid. So it's a good start.
The 25.
Sorry, 25. Sorry, yeah, 25.
So 25, we should really bank on them just by their, commitment, because it might get to the voting day, then they change their, belief.
I think we still have some period to do more of convincing of our candidature. But at least I believe that's a very good start. You can imagine when you're beginning your campaign and you don't have any support base. So with the support base of 25 countries so far, committing to support Baba and looking at the candidates generally, I think Baba still stands a higher chance in his bid to be the AUC chair.
Locally, where Odinga also contested for the previous presidential, elections, there were also similar affirmations that, look, we have the ground supporting us, but he lost it to President William Ruto. And it's believed the Djibouti candidate is one, that will threaten Odinga's win, and also the dynamics of the Francophone and Anglophone countries. So are we honest with ourselves that we have the 25? Or it's a plot to have Kenyans, money channeled towards Odinga's campaign, yet in real sense, there is no assurance that we are going to clinch this seat?
I think I'm liking the comparison, but if you look at our politics, the local politics, it's largely ethnicized. But what we are going to see is different, and this is policy-based. What are you coming up with? What is this that you're going to do differently that is going to unite Africa, something that is going to spur regional growth? And so it is more to do with policy than where is Baba coming from. So for me, even the show that we would want to support you is a good start. And I don't think if it would be right really to say that the funding towards AUC will go in futility, because we now look at it largely. What is the need for our country if Baba becomes the AUC chair? So I think it's something that we all should embrace, and we don't localize the politics that we have always done as a country, because our politics is largely driven by is this our person, but not to do with what do you have to offer to the nation. So I think it's also a wake-up call to us as a nation, that can we look at our leaders differently, apart from the ethnic background? Can we look at what the leaders got to offer vis-a-vis where you come from? Because in it, we lose even good leaders at local level, where politics is clanism-based, and we are looking at, is this our son, which region or which clan does he come from? And in it, we end up losing very good people or leaders who would have really developed our regions. So I would urge our people to support Baba, wish him the very best in his bid. But again, it's upon us. We say power is taken, power is not given. For even AUC, if we could engage with the Djibouti former foreign affairs, then maybe he can concede, or rather retract on his bid, and we get an easy way.
Now that you've touched on the budget, it's believed this campaign will cost Kenyans more than 5 billion Kenya shillings, compared to 500 million that was used by Amina Mohamed, the former Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary. Is this not too expensive?
It also depends with why would we want to spend that kind of money. And I think if you look at it in the essence of accountability and transparency, so if the country would publish what is there for us to do to ensure that we utilize the 5 billion, why are we using the 5 billion? Then I don't think if people would have really big issue on why we are sending 5 billion. and if the 5 billion is worth the fight for the AUC bid. But if you look at it, it's a worth investment, if you ask me, given, and I mentioned it earlier, given what's in it for us as a country. What would Baba's chairmanship at the AUC place Kenya regionally, internationally? What is it there for us? So let us not really focus on how much are we likely to spend vis-a-vis what is there if Baba were to get. So if you look at the both sides and you look at what weighs more than the other, then I think it's worth an investment.
You know, Amina Mohammed used 500 million, and so the figures that Baba could use is 10 times more. And perhaps is this not a show of extravagance? I would not be the right person to really know, because I've not looked at the budget for Baba's campaign, so that I know what amount goes to what, and is it worth the investment. And if maybe that's part of the reason as to why Amina may not have made it, because largely campaigns are expensive. So if you're doing it, continentally, then it's more expensive than that mere 500. If our president alone to win a local presidency costs us billions, how much more would it then cost us to move from one country to the other, trying to pitch for our best candidate, which is Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. So let us look at the budget first, and then let's see, is there areas of wastages before we can castigate or say this is too much money to spend on an individual's candidate. Yeah. And President William Ruto will be launching the official campaign tomorrow.
Yes.
What are your expectations, and also what does this mean even for our nation? And Odinga now ceases to be the opposition leader officially.
You know, I like when everyone looks at the second highest, if I may put it like that, as an opposition leader. But if we look at our constitution, ideally, we don't have anything like opposition leadership in our constitution. But by virtue of having the minority, then you become by default the opposition leader, then we would say Baba is. But again, the show of His Excellency William Ruto supporting Baba is a show of solidarity as a country. And we put aside our political affiliations or our likes, if I may say it, and look at the larger picture of a nation, which becomes more important than just an individual interest. So I think it's a good show, and as a nation we should look at leadership differently in the aspect of let us not politicize everything, that because Baba was an Azimio leader and His Excellency is a KK leader, then even when the position comes with an opposition person, then we don't see the good in it. We don't look at what is there that this person will add to our country, but we want to politicize every other area. So I think it's a good thing that Baba also get the support of the country, which is, I think, a requirement. So we are confident that with the president supporting Baba and the leadership supporting Baba, they'll also go out there so that the money that they want to use may not go on waste.
Well, that is Rachel Omolo, a governance expert, who has just, of course, dissected Baba's AUC bid. When we come back after the break, we'll be joined by Honorable Veronica Maina, nominated Senator, and as well Honorable Beatrice Elachi, the Dagoretti North Member of Parliament, even as we review what is in our dailies. And later on, we focus on the state of the nation, including schools reopening today. Primary schools, of course, our primary-going students will today reopen, even as it's still uncertain whether the secondary schools will also reopen, as Kupet is adamant that their strike is still on. Keep the conversation going via social media platforms at K24 Tv, at George as well on our SMS, and the top numbers on the bottom of your screens. I'll be sampling some of your feedback before wrapping up New Dawn this morning. We take a short commercial break at that juncture. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned.